Hello, everybody. This is Mary Schiller coming to you from Paris, France on this December, what is it, the 5th, 2018. I am an author and coach. You can find me online at maryschiller.com. And I'm really happy to welcome you to this third installment of what it means to be bold. Hi, Katie. Hi, Jan. Hi, Adriana. Yeah, please give me a shout out in the chat and say hello. Let me know where you're joining from and maybe what kind of weather you're having there. I love hearing about all of that from around the world. Here in Paris, it's a little overcast and gray, as is typical of this city, and it's supposed to start raining here in a little while. Hi, Mitsui. Day 3, woohoo, that's right. Day 3 of our 3 bold talks. And so you can all hear and see me okay, I'm trusting. Hi, Terry. Thanks for joining. As you can tell, I still have a little bit of nasal stuff going on here from this flu, so I beg your indulgence with that for the next hour. Let's see. Katie says she can't see me. Can you all? Hi, Allie. Can you all see and hear me okay? Katie, let's see. Katie. Okay. Katie, try refreshing screen. Great. Okay, good. So, oh, great. Thanks, Mitsui. I appreciate that. All the way over in Japan. Isn't that amazing? So, I have thoroughly enjoyed the first 2 chats we've had about what it means to be bold. And I shared with you that, oh, great, Allie, thank you. Hi, Annette from Oslo. Awesome. I have really enjoyed these couple of chats we had, and I'm sure that today will be no exception. As I mentioned, the word bold popped into my head as perhaps a word of the year for 2019, even though I have never engaged in that word of the year thing. For some reason, this time it just seemed like something I really wanted to do because that word was very, very appealing to me and a little bit exciting and had a certain electrical charge along with it. And as we've been talking about over the first 2 sessions, we have lots and lots of ideas about what it means to be bold. And what I'm hoping, you can let me know in the chat, is that you're starting to see human beings' boldness as more of a natural characteristic, that this is simply how we're designed, that we are designed to hear a new idea within ourselves and then take a step towards it. And that, what one person sees as bold, another person does not. And maybe that's simply because this is normal. This is the normal way that people are. And we also talked about, I loved this part of the discussion about, looking at what we would call the natural world and seeing the boldness that is inherent in simply that, and realizing that we're part of that fabric as well. And that there's really nothing that we could do in this regard that would seem kind of out of step with being human. And that it's actually really fun to live from this space of boldness and spontaneity and inspiration. So before I keep going, let me just mention again, I will keep an eye on the chat box so you can type in there anytime. If you have a specific question you want me to answer, please put it in the Ask a Question box. And that way, if you watch the replay here on Crowdcast, you can skip right to the answers on the replay. And I see somebody's already asked a question, so I'll get there shortly. Hi, Cheryl. Snowy and cold. I'm glad to see you too live. That's awesome, Cheryl. Thank you. So before I jump into today's topic, which is, what bold moves would you love to make in the next year? Because as I'm recording this and sharing this with you, it's the end of the year, December of 2018. Pardon me. And we're always coming up to that time when people are starting to think, hi, Barbara from Glasgow. And we're always thinking about what would I like to do in the next year? It's kind of like you get to turn the page on a fresh new, journal or something, and you get to start new. So before we jump into that, I would love to hear from you if you have attended either of the other two talks live, or if you have watched the replay, if there is something that has stood out for you as something that really grabbed your attention, or maybe made you see things in a different way from before. I always like to start the discussions from this question, because there's so much richness in all of your insights. And hi, Elizabeth. Thank you. And I always want to hear from you first, because you always give me such wonderful ideas to talk about. And so I'd love to hear from you. Are you seeing boldness in a different way? Does it seem less, let's say, brash, or less risky than before? Does it seem like somebody is kind of steamrolling over other people, and more like maybe just living as your true self with a capital S, the real you that's in there, that is wanting to reveal itself, that is wanting to bring things into form in this physical space that we're living in. Hi, Allie. Allie says, the beautiful reminder that when we act boldly, it's how we were designed, not something we have to adopt or steel ourselves to do. Oh, yeah, really poignantly put there, Allie. Adriana says, living as the true self. Yeah, I see those kind of similarly, because I'm always kind of talking about what the traditional conversation is about these things, and then the way you and I are talking about it is very different, where there is this sense in the more, shall I say, normal conversation about human beings that we have to somehow develop courage, that courage or bravery or boldness comes from something. A lot of times I've heard people say, well, courage and boldness come from taking action. When you take action, that kind of builds up your courage and your fearlessness and such. And if you have been around me at all, you'll know that I think that's complete nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. There isn't anything like that we have to manufacture or develop, or that it doesn't come from something out there. It's innate. It's simply how we are made. If that weren't the case, then how would you describe certain moments in your own life when you took what might be called a courageous step or something, and you simply had it when you needed it? I mean, it's just all right there. It's almost like we're swimming in all of these beautiful qualities, and they're just kind of waiting for us to go, okay, I need that right now, so I'll just get it. It's just all right here. So there isn't anything that we have to try to get from someone or from something. It's all infinitely available to us at all times. All of those qualities that we kind of associate with being bold are naturally within us. And living as our true self, as Adriana said, to me, this is a beautiful expression of that true self, right? It's kind of like, I'm sure if I ask this question, pretty much everybody watching is going to say yes. Do you have the sense sometimes that something's sort of tapping on the back of your head, like, hey, remember this idea? Remember you wanted to do this? Or, there's something sort of, tapping at your heart saying, hey, Mary, this is something that you've really wanted to do. To me, that is this natural self, this true self, this natural boldness. Hi, Judy. Saying, hey, remember me? This is you. This is your true self. And you're allowed to express me into the world. You're allowed to let me create something through you. Jan says, I'd never seen boldness as a prerequisite for evolution. I had just seen it as risky. Oh, that's interesting, Jan. One thing that's really cool that your comment reminded me of is that now I could be wrong about this. I'm happy to say I could be wrong. But the way it looks to me, pardon me, is that the more we live this way, this kind of naturally bold way, the more that we, listen and respond to what is calling to us or what's kind of tapping us on the back of the head, it seems like we simply evolve or, engage in self-discovery just much more easily. Every single one of those is an opportunity for us to see all of these beautiful, innate, infinite qualities that we already have. So it's not risky at all. In fact, to me, it seems the opposite of that. It seems like the thing that we are supposed to do. And not doing that almost seems like we're thumbing our nose at this beautiful life of ours and saying, oh, I don't need to do that. I can just kind of stay in this little safe zone, which doesn't really feel all that safe and comfortable after a while. I look at these callings of the heart or the little taps on the shoulder or the back of the head as a really gentle way of saying, hey, Mary, here's another way that you can learn more about your real self. Why don't we go explore that? So thanks for that comment, Jim. Barbara, discovering more and more of free-spiritedness. Oh, I love that phrase. I love that phrase. In our culture, at least in the Western culture, free-spiritedness seems to have a negative connotation. Would you agree with that? It's seen as, maybe a bit flighty or, just kind of living on the edge of society or something. And it has this sort of taint to it. Whereas where I'm looking at things from now, my current vantage point, that looks like how we are designed to live, because there is no guarantee of any specific outcome ever. There's, like I was saying, I think it was in the second talk, there are so many things happening all at once around us that are invisible. So many people that are acting on things and all sorts of things going on that to me, I don't see any downside to living from that sense of free-spiritedness. So thanks for sharing that term, Barbara. Hi, Judy. I just heard someone say to learn a foreign language quickly and well, you have to be bold. As you know, I'm trying to learn French right now, Judy, or maybe some folks don't know that. Because I want to make France my permanent home. And actually right after this call, I'm going to a French conversation group. And I think that it's been an interesting experience in that way, because I've really been aware of thoughts that come into my mind that try to indicate to me that learning French is difficult, or, I can't advance from where I am because of my age, or, whatever, all these funny thoughts that come in. And I've really just started laughing at them and going, well, why shouldn't it be easy? I have all the resources of infinity available to me. Certainly the ability to learn to speak French well enough to, not get lost in a conversation. Certainly that's not beyond me. So that's a great one for me, Judy. Hi, Shara. Listen to respond. Overthinking not allowed. It's a paralyzer. Yeah, Cheryl, I think the way that it looks to me is that nobody ever overthinks anything, that we can't control the thoughts that come into our minds, period. It's just not possible. We have thoughts all day long. That's how we experience being human. So we don't want them to stop, because that's what gives us this really lovely human emotion and this beautiful spectrum of experiences that we have. What I think that we can do, though, is start to recognize that those experiences are not who we are, and that those thoughts are not who we are, that we can listen kind of beyond that to this, if you will, this innate boldness, and live more from there. So thanks for that. Adriana, with your musical training, you have a lot going, learning a language. Oh, yeah, that's true. I have a good ear for things. So that musical training actually has helped me quite a bit. Overanalyzing, Cheryl, yeah, that may be true. I think a lot of us feel like we overanalyze ourselves, or, we we analyze whether we're doing things well or not well, or if we're successful or not successful, and all these things. And yeah, we can kind of just let those thoughts kind of go on by and wave to them. So now, thank you for that. That was beautiful. I would love to, and I haven't forgotten that there's a question there. And again, if you want me to answer a specific question, please put it in the Ask a Question box. I would love to hear from you guys what you would love to do in 2019. And I mean, the sky is the limit. We got no limitations. We are talking and we are having fun here. So let's look at this really from this bold point of view. You know, if you could do anything, if you could try anything, you know, just name whatever comes to mind. No judgments around it, no measurements of, you know, whether it's possible or not possible. We're not going to go there. We're just letting this this boldness that is who, you know, we actually are, just come to the surface and let it go. So Cheryl says, I'm moving to Thailand and I finished my book. Wow, that's great, Cheryl. And, you know, what else, what would you like to do in Thailand? Do you have some idea of what would be fun to happen there? Because that certainly sounds exciting. I know some things for me would include, I'm kind of restructuring my business, and so I would love to reach a lot more people with the messages that I have. I've got some really fun numbers in mind of people that I would love to be part of my community next year, so that's high on my list. I also am going to rework a novel, and I would love to submit it to an agent and see what happens. Another thing I would love to do, I already have taken minor steps in this way, is I would love for someone to express some interest in making my memoir into a film. So I'm going to keep pursuing that. And of course, I have some more bold writing moves. I'm working on a book right now that I intend to release early next year that's got a pretty provocative title that for me seems like a very bold move. So that's part of it. So yeah, just lots and lots of things like that. I would love to do some more traveling. I have some places in Europe that I would like to see, like Portugal, and I'd love to go to Vienna. I would love to go also to Croatia, and I would love to visit Scotland and Ireland. So I have a few things like that that I would like to do. So tell me what your bold moves you want to have for 2019. And while you are typing those out, I'm going to jump over to the questions. Let's see. Katie says, hi, Mary, I'm still stuck at the how to market myself to people phase. Can you say something around that, please? Thank you. So it sounds like, Katie, you have some dreams of, you know, developing your own business and reaching people with your message. And you know, I think some people on the call can definitely relate to that. I think that one of the things that has been the most helpful to me is not thinking of it as marketing per se. You know, I know that everybody talks about sales and marketing and things, but for me, the bold move, if you will, is really just being visible and offering connection with people. I think one of the things that has helped me in just sort of a practical sense, when I made the bold move to work for myself and start this completely new career, you know, at the age of 50, whatever I was at the time, let's not talk about numbers, but anyway, was simply, you know, putting things out there that I wanted to express and inviting people into the conversation with me. And, you know, that kind of goes against what a lot of the, you know, marketing speak is out there. You know, they talk a lot about strategies and techniques and things. And for me, it's really just been about, you know, developing a community of people who know me and who enjoy interacting with me, like those of you on this call or watching this replay. And I guess that's my version of marketing, if you will, is just creating opportunities for people to connect with me and vice versa, and really engaging in a two-way conversation. So let me know if that was helpful, Katie. Let's see what other comments. Leonard says he wants to run his coaching business on the road in the EU. Well, Leonard, I'm sure you can run your coaching business on the road. In fact, before we made the decision to move here to France, we had talked about buying an RV or camper van, if you call it that in the UK, and driving it around in the US. And I thought, oh, it'd be kind of fun to be like the RV coach, you know, and go from town to town and offer coaching. So that sounds like fun to me. Thanks, Leonard. All right, let's see what else we've got over here. Allie says, write a book. Awesome. Do you know what the topic would be, Allie? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but I'd love to hear. Leave New Orleans. Again, do you know where you'd like to go? Buy a home, get very fit, turn around my osteoporosis, travel a lot. All feels doable to me today except the home. Hey, you know what, Allie? Here's the beautiful thing, is that even if certain things look impossible, they're actually not. They're actually not. You know, whenever I am looking at some line of thought that is trying to tell me that I can't do something, I might sort of, you know, agree with it for a second, and then I'm like, wait a minute. You know, I think I may have said this phrase to you before. Who does that thought think it's talking to here? You know, I've got the power of everything at my disposal. So, you know, if we decide next year as a bold move that we want to move into a bigger place here in Paris, then I'm sure the resources to do that will make themselves known. It will be obvious that we can do that. So, you know, I would just encourage you to continue to remember who's in charge here, who the power is, who's the bold entity here. It's not these thoughts that have literally no substance to them. They're made of nothing. So keep that in mind. Let me go back up here. Thanks, Allie. Hi, Linda. I want to become a well-known wood, glass, and silver jeweler. Ooh, I want my work known. That sounds like a really fun project for next year. Wow, that's awesome. Do you already have experience in that? Is that something that you're already doing? Because, you know, maybe it's just a matter of, you know, connecting with more people. That sounds really exciting. Hi, Terry. Creating an online class to share and connect about innate creativity and art and life. That sounds beautiful. And, you know, I'd love to assist if I can. So I'm excited about that. You know, kind of what I was referring to before when I was answering Katie's question. Oh, and I see you posted a comment, Katie, so I'll come to that in a second, is that, you know, there are so many ways that we have, if doing your own thing business-wise is part of your plan for 2019, there's so many ways that we can reach people that we may not even be aware of that we're already engaged in. I was thinking today, actually, I was writing out a list of all the ways that I have sort of an audience, all the places that I have an audience, and all the different groups of people that are kind of available to me, if you will. And I would really encourage you to do that and really consider, you know, that you already have a reach. And then if you provide something, you know, that has the ability to reach even more people at once, like something online, like a class or something, that's incredible. Hi, Katie. Thank you. Yes, it's helpful. It's kind of what I'm doing. I think I just need to keep going with it. Yeah, Katie, you know, if I were to look back on, the history of this business that I'm running, I think one of the decisions that came to me to do that was really instrumental in this, that seemed really nuts at the time. It really did. When I heard it, I was like, really? Well, okay. It was that I was going to do a daily audio on my blog for a year. And at that time, I had no designs on becoming a coach. I really wasn't in that mindset at all. It wasn't on my mind. I was working full-time at a startup and just spending a gazillion hours a week there, like 70 or 80 hours literally a week. And yet I committed to doing this daily audio blog. mostly for myself at the time. When I started, I was like, I kind of want to explore some things and just record it on audio. And then if people find it interesting, that's cool. And I'll share the links around. And it was really a good lesson to me about how being consistent and just coming from this place of expression was very, very helpful to me in getting started. So I think a lot of people feel like they're going to be, well, let's just be candid here. I think a lot of people who are in business for themselves and are kind of not really getting very far have this sense that they're going to be in people's faces. They don't want to be too visible. They don't want to be too pushy. They don't want to be too bold. Even that word comes up. And from where I'm sitting, it's like, no, actually, you can do whatever you want. You can be as visible as you want. You can talk as much as you want. You can do whatever comes to you to do. And the people who appreciate you will want more. They'll want you to be online every day, So I think we have a lot of funny thinking related to that we can just kind of let pass on by and realize that, we're free to express whatever is coming to us. So let me know if that was also useful, Katie. Hi, Adriana. Immerse myself in what is alive moment to moment. This includes further 3 principles and daring to coach. Wow, taking my jewelry business to a thriving level, getting really fit, dancing tons, opening my home to more gatherings. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I think, too, that what I'm hearing from all of your posts, it doesn't sound like work to me, what you're describing. It sounds more like fun. It sounds more like, listening to what is fun for you rather than what you should do. I'm not about the shoulds. I don't really like the should kind of conversations. I'm much more interested in, what looks fun to do, what looks inspiring to do, what looks like an interesting little challenge to set up for myself. A lot of times I will set what I might call a bold completion timeline, and I'll say, okay, I have this new book idea and I'm going to finish it in X number of weeks and put it up on Amazon, and so I really am like, how, can I really hit that deadline? Let's see how much I've really got going on here, that will help me to do that. And yet it's all fun. It's all in fun. It's not like highly pressurized or anything. It's more like, what can I tap into that might allow me to do that? Let's see. Let's see. I missed a few. Jan, I'd love to rent a property in England and start an open house for open-minded people to come and stay together and share wisdom and fun together. Oh, I like that. I like that. Like a really nice kind of retreat space. That would be lovely. That's something that I've considered doing something with as well. I haven't at all formulated anything, but I can certainly see how much fun that would be to run something like that. Oh, good, Allie. Thank you. See, Terry, you've already got a customer for your class. Cheryl, don't want to bother anyone. It's so true. Yeah, don't you think so? And I think that this is true of men, but it's more true of women in my experience is that, we don't feel that we can behave in this bold way. A lot of the cultural conversation has told us that we can't. And I just don't see any reason why we shouldn't do that. There are no rules in this regard. They're all made up. They're all made up of a bunch of thinking, but they're not real. So it was just an interesting thought that I had one day about, what would it mean if we just behaved boldly all the time? And what would that look like? And to me, it would look like a world where everybody was expressing their true self in the most beautiful way possible. Again, it's not about running roughshod over other people or trying to dominate a conversation or anything like that. It's simply about being this true self and acting from there more of the time. So yeah, let's see, Elizabeth, I'd love to rebrand Practices of Partner Yoga for a wider audience, publish a second edition of my book through Hay House, write a new book. Awesome. Beautiful, Elizabeth. Those are amazing goals. I think also that and I kind of referred to this earlier, we can sometimes think that things are going to take a really long time, and actually they might not. You know, that's been so true of my experience of running this business. It's hard for me to even explain the idea that I had about how long it would take to, you know, create a community and start earning a living and all of that. That just went out the window when I started acting more from the place that we're all talking about here. You know, that timeline that I had was completely wiped out because things happen so much faster. So things like writing a new book or all of that can happen so much quicker than we imagine because we have so many resources available to us right now. Let's see. Hi, Judy. My partner and I would like to travel across Europe in a van for 6 months and offer our coaching and consulting in the places we visit, and also continue to work online during webinars and coaching clients. See, you and I are thinking similarly here, because my husband and I still have this idea of renting a camper van here, although I think the first time we're going to try this is on a trip that we're already planning to take in the spring. We were going to go to this one area nearby, not too close by, but in France, just the typical way by train. And now we're thinking maybe we'll rent a camper van and go that route and see if we enjoy it for a week. That might be a bold move for us, you know. I don't know. We'll have to see. So that's cool, Judy. Hi, Katie. Yes, I've had the thought that I'm just going to follow the fun, to use my phrase. Yeah. And what has come out of it is lots of art and lots of ideas around coaching. I'm one of those people that has felt being visible is uncomfortable. That's slowly falling away, though. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, Katie, because, you know, it doesn't, how can I put this? We all have so much to offer simply through our presence. You know, just simply through being who we are naturally. You know, we don't have to worry so much about how that's packaged. We don't, you know, there's so much discussion like in the business world about your brand and all these things. And I'm not discounting all of that. Obviously, you know, Coca-Cola is a pretty successful brand, so I shouldn't knock it. But I feel like there's so much that we can express and do that has nothing to do with any of that. And we can simply act from our naturally bold self. And that's enough, you know, that's simply enough. And the rest will sort itself out as it does. So maybe that kind of lifts the lid off of all that too. You know, if it sounds fun to you to try to create your own brand and all of that, then of course go for it. At the same time, we can act without all of that stuff kind of hanging around as well. Hi, Jan. Coaching people who have kids with mental health problems. Well, that certainly would be an amazing service to offer. So congratulations for that. Let's see. Katie's had enough of shoulds, as have I. Hi, Barbara. I don't have a single specific thing I want to do other than continue to expand my horizons. You know, that's the best place to start, though, Jan, isn't it? You know, I've talked in other conversations about how, for me, really the things that I would like to do are sort of afterthoughts in a way, because my only real priority is exploring the truth about who you and I really are and seeing how I can express that. And that's about it. And so these other things are more like, oh, what fun things would I like to try in the coming 12 months? Let's see what I can do. And there's a lightness about it. It's not this sort of heavy, oh, I have to, or oh, I should do this, or I shouldn't do that. It doesn't really look like that to me anymore. So that's really exciting. Let's see, Jan, at the moment, money is still the reason for lack of boldness. Oh, interesting, Jan. And I appreciate that comment. So thank you for your honesty there. There's so much we can do that has nothing to do with that, because we have every resource there is, including money. There's an infinite amount of money available to us as well. And if we have a desire to try something, even if it looks like we don't have the money or any other resources, we can still make the moves and see what occurs. We don't know what will happen if we just start. You know, there's so many stories. Gosh, I just saw this one recently. I'm sorry, I can't remember the details of it now, but it was a family that was going through something really difficult with their kids, like some kind of health crisis with their two tiny little kids. And there was an experimental treatment, I believe, but their insurance, of course, wouldn't cover it. And so they just mentioned it to a few friends, and suddenly someone had set up one of those crowdfunding pages for them. And I want to say that they had generated like $1 million+ and they had nothing to do with it. They simply mentioned their situation to a few of their close friends, and that's what happened. And a lot of the donations were like in the $5 or $10 range. It wasn't like some one person gave them $1 million. And so, you know, we can't know how these things are going to come about. So you can make the bold move anyway, is what I'm trying to say. So let me know, you guys, if that was helpful in terms of money. Hi, Allie. Also rehashing my biz so it's in alignment with me. Good. What I love, what I want to offer, and taking action, not just thinking about it, moving ideas from inside my head to out in the world. Brava, Allie. Love that. Terry, bold equals expressing from joy, not from fear. Joy equals who we truly are. Yeah, exactly. We are this joy, we are this boldness, we are this courage and fearlessness and all of those beautiful qualities. And you know, fear to me is simply another emotion on the human spectrum that doesn't need to take any precedence over any other feeling. It doesn't, as far as I can tell. Oh wow, I'm going to say something again that goes way against the traditional conversation. So here's a bold statement. You know, everybody says things like, well, you can't let fear stop you, right? You can't let fear stop you. You have to forge ahead and not let fear stop you. Well, the way it looks to me is that fear cannot stop you, period. So you don't even have to deal with it. You don't have to worry about it. If you have some fearful feelings and thoughts, so what? It's not stopping you, actually. The reason I know that this is true is because there's a gazillion examples of it. You can come up with an example in your own life. I bet if I asked you to type one into the chat box, you could think of one right now of a time when you felt really scared, but you did the thing anyway that you wanted to do. Maybe we should do that. Type something in there, something that you did. It may be the same thing if you were on a previous call, a bold move that you made, even though you had a lot of fearful thinking going on at the same time. You know, there are just too many examples of that for me to see fear as having any true power. I don't see how it's different from any other thought I have. It looks the same. You know, we are the power, our true self. That's the power here. It's not some random thought that we have. And Katie says we don't have to try quite so hard. Exactly right. You know, a lot of the effort is being done for us. Terry says videos on YouTube. Never thought I would do that based on my fear. Exactly, Terry. That's a beautiful example. You had a lot of fears going into that, and yet you still did it. Let's look at some other ones. Trevor, I proposed to my wife the day after meeting her. I just knew, we've been out together 12 happy years. That's cool, Trevor. Cheryl, terrified when I left my marriage, when I went back to uni at 44, when I drove alone across Canada in the winter. Oh, heck, so many things. Exactly. Exactly. Great examples. Trish, my first solo open mic had me shaking in my boots. However, I survived and have done a couple more since. Wonderful, Trish. Judy being interviewed on a radio show. Allie had to do public speaking and get master coach credentials, so I did. Hi, Kathy. Joined the Air Force. I pressed through and had a great experience and retired happy. Okay, so instantly, you could all think of something, you know, if you want to call it a bold move, that Trevor's probably qualifies for that. Wouldn't you guys agree? You know, you made a bold move despite having a lot of fearful thinking going on, and that didn't stop you. That didn't stop you. So I'm just not seeing that as something that can stand in the way of anything. You know, if people wonder, well, why didn't I do a certain thing? Was it because I was too scared? I always say no. I think it's a lot simpler than that. We simply do something or we don't do something. We do one thing or we do a different thing. And there does not have to be all of this, you know, kerfuffle around why we did or didn't do certain things. We simply did or did not. That's all it is. So I appreciate that kind of simplicity. I'm wondering if you guys do. That reminds me, when I said simplicity, that reminds me of another aspect of this too, this whole conversation, which is that, yes, the simplicity, Terry says, is that it really does make life a lot simpler when you're, as we were kind of mentioning a moment ago, when you're not listening to all of this analysis in your head and kind of, you know, looking at that movie all the time, and instead you're living more spontaneously. And because you know, without any question, it's not a belief, it's just a knowing that's beyond any question. You know that you've got what you need. You know that you have the resources. You know that you have all the ideas you could ever want to do something. And, you know, you simply have to take a step in the direction that looks interesting. And then from there, who knows what will happen? We don't know. But it's almost like, you know, kind of what Katie said a moment ago, we don't have to work as hard as we think we do. We just don't. You know, like I can give you an example of this that happened to me today, where I was, it related to something I wanted to do in my business, and I was getting a little bit confused. And then I was like, you know what, I really just want a very simple idea to come to me. And it was literally within about 5 minutes, I had a very simple yet beautiful idea come to me. Now, when I put the offer out there, I have no idea what will happen. But I asked for a simple and beautiful idea, and there it was. You know, so we tend to look at things from this vantage point of, oh, things are really difficult and convoluted and complex, but actually maybe they aren't. You know, actually maybe they aren't. Maybe we are built for ease. And this boldness that we've been talking about is part of that. So, so if you don't mind, I'm going to pause there for a quick second and get another sip of water. I'd love to hear any other ideas of things that you would like to do in 2019. I'm going to just take a sip here. One thing I would love to do next year is watch my daughter graduate with her doctorate degree. That's something that I would love to go to. She's getting there. She's getting there. I read another chapter of her dissertation today. So that would be a really fun, bold thing to do for her and for me. Gosh, what other bold things would I like to do? Oh, there's so many. So many things. Oh, Trish says, I want to improve my health enough to do sports again. Trish, I'm kind of there with you as well. I have some health things that I want to do. I'm thinking of joining a club near here to help me get back into shape, especially after being sick like this, because definitely feeling the effects of that. So that's definitely on my radar as well. More international travel, Terry says. Well, you got that, you know, got that first one out of your system, Terry. She and I met in Spain recently. So maybe your next one will be Paris, if I can come up with some kind of fun, bold event here that you all want to come to. That would be exciting. Actually, that is something I would like to do in 2019. You know, a lot of people have asked me about that, and I hadn't really you know, looked at it as a possibility, and it's starting to look more and more like something that would be really fun. I don't know what the topic would be, but you know, that'll come to me. Let's see, Kathy, I'd like to couple massage therapy with coaching. Oh, interesting. I'd like to do VIP days at a fancy hotel and cater to my clients on a VIP level. Oh, that's so nice, Kathy. You know, again, that was something that I was thinking about a couple of weeks ago, about how we so rarely give ourselves the opportunity to spend a whole day with someone just looking at ourselves and kind of doing that. So that's a beautiful offer. I love that. Trish says yes to Mary in Paris. Cool. Katie, continue to build a thriving business around art and coaching. Have a sellout art stall at pub in the park, and all the time being around for my kids. Beautiful. And you say yes to Paris too. Judy says you'll come. Cool. Oh, thanks, Kathy. Appreciate that too. Here's a question from Allie. I love the idea of you're asking for a simple, beautiful idea, then doing it. I'm wondering who or what are you asking? Mind your own wisdom. That's a really good question, Allie. And the truth is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really connect with the word wisdom very much. I've never really understood what that means. So that I would say, no, I don't have that idea in mind. I think it's just more like, I don't know. Sometimes I have this mental image of, you know, maybe somebody with a deck of cards who's just kind of flipping the cards and going, okay, here's an idea. Do you like this one? No. Okay, here's another one. You know, it's just like this endless deck of cards. And so I kind of, in my mind's eye, see them coming by and going, yeah, I like that one. No, I'm not crazy about that one. No, that's too complicated. Oh, there's a good simple one. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but it just seems like I'm asking the mechanism, you know, for a simpler one than what it's been showing me in the past. I'm kind of asking the system to share something with me. Who knows if it actually works like that? I don't know, but it's a fun thing to try. So anyway, thanks, Allie. Oh, funny. Oh. Yes to Paris, s'il vous plaît, Allie says. Awesome. Hi, Jan. Will you come to Paris? Is that what you're saying? Trevor. Oh, Katie says to be an artist in residence at Wimbledon. Ooh, that sounds fun. How many people here will go to see Mary in Paris? Oh, Jan says yes to that. I got it. Trevor, put on live workshops to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Yeah, Trevor, I think if I did do some kind of live event, it would be around that, but in a really creative way that would really take advantage of where I happen to live in terms of this city, because, oh gosh, there's so many opportunities here for creative inspiration and for doing things that kind of take us out of our normal box. You know, I'm sure this is true where everyone lives. For me, this city is just so brilliant for that. Everywhere I turn, there's something beautiful to look at and be inspired by. And, you know, they just really do things in such a lovely way here. Let's see. Allie says yes to the mechanism and why worry what it is. Yeah, exactly. Hi, Terry. I love the deck of cards analogy for innate creativity. Yeah, doesn't it kind of seem like that? It's kind of like, here, you know, it's just this endless supply of ideas. And, you know, even if, well, here's the funny part, and this is part of this kind of bold system it seems that we're in, is that sometimes, I know you've all had this, sometimes I will hear an idea that I've had before that I kind of rejected, and suddenly it will seem like a new one. I'll be like, oh yeah, I thought of that like 5 years ago, but now it looks like the thing to do, so I'll go do it. So that's kind of a fun thing too. Oh, great, Trevor. I'd love to have you here. Katie, traveling and painting the scenes around me, Paris is so beautiful. Yeah, it certainly has inspired a lot of artists and writers over the years, and one can certainly see why. I think, just as a quick aside, I'm also very much into photography, and so, you know, it's a beautiful place for that, and the architecture here is just mind-blowing to me. I mean, there's a building that's right across from where I live that is one of my all-time favorite buildings in the city, so I feel so privileged to live near it because it's so beautiful. And you know, you just think, you know, they could have just made it a box, you know, but instead somebody was really bold and they put these fantastic, you know, sculptures on the outside and this beautiful ornate wrought iron, and they wanted to make a statement with this building. And so I find that quite inspiring here. Let's see, Trish, if you do the event between June and August, school teachers will be on a break. Exactly. You know, August is a weird month here So I probably wouldn't have it in August. It's a weird month because almost everything is closed because French people, like I think a lot of people in Europe, but I know the French, they all go elsewhere during August. So lots of times in August, you'll see tourists walking around, especially like in our neighborhood, and they're like, why isn't anything open? Like, what's going on? Hi, Kathy. The airport on my way to San Diego. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks. Oh, you're very welcome, Kathy. Have a safe trip. Hi, Katie. Hard not to be inspired when you live somewhere like that. Yeah, you know, I was also very fortunate. I've lived in some amazing places like New York City, which was inspiring in a whole other way. And I lived in the most beautiful area of California. My last few years, I lived in California. I was in a place called San Luis Obispo, which again was a gorgeous place and still has my favorite spot on the planet at Montaña de Oro State Park. It's my absolute favorite place in the entire world. I do miss it. And I often went there to just really revel in the boldness of nature, frankly. The cliffs there, I've never seen cliffs anywhere in California or elsewhere like them. And yeah, so I find it really exciting to recognize that what we're all talking about in terms of, you know, what we see around us and what we see in nature, that is us. That's all us, you and me. That's what we really are. You know, we tend to look, for example, at certain people as exceptional if they seem to produce something that we think we could never do. But we have all of those same capabilities, exactly the same capabilities. It's across the board, you know. And so if we have a bold idea to do something that seems really outside of our norm, it's okay to go for it. It's okay to go for it. There's no reason why we can't, or to use the should word, why we shouldn't. So yeah, wow. You know, it would be fun to check in with you at some point in 2019 and see how many of these things have come to fruition. And what's also fun is recognizing that even if the exact thing that we want to do doesn't happen, oftentimes just you know, taking that bold step, because that's all we can ever see is the one right there, can open up a whole new doorway to us. And suddenly we're like, oh, wait, forget that idea. Now I see something else that's, you know, just like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in front of me that I want to go for now. And I find this a very thrilling way to live. It feels perfectly, this is going to sound strange, but it feels perfectly safe. Again, kind of referring to what we were talking about, I think it was on the second call, doesn't seem risky, because what could I ever be really risking? You know, if we have all of these resources and everything available to us all the time, and if we're, you know, made of these beautiful qualities, then what are we ever risking? You know, I often, not always, but I often ask myself, you know, do I have a way to get food today? And do I have a place to lay my head? Yes. Okay, then that's fine. And if for some reason I said no to one of those questions, then I would figure out what to do. I would just figure it out, because the answers are always available to us. It's that endless deck of cards that's got a million ways for us to do whatever it is that we would like to try to do. So, so before we close out this hour, I just want to mention, if you are watching this in December of 2018, I do have some spots open still for this 3-month coaching program that I've called Bold Coaching. It's a one-to-one program by application only. I'm going to close the application process at the end of next week. I guess it's December 14th or 15th. I don't have the calendar in front of me. So if you're interested in learning more, you can click the green button if you're watching this on Crowdcast and go to the application. And you can also go to my website here, which is maryschiller.com/bold coaching. That's where you can read some more details about it. And my aim with this program is to really focus in and give you a lot of attention over 3 months. If you're in a place with your business where you really want to take some bold next steps and you want somebody right next to you to help you do that, then I'm your gal. I would love to support you in that. So what other comments do you folks have? This has been such a joyful conversation for me. And as you've been sharing all of these ideas, I've been, those of you who I know a little bit more personally, I've been imagining you in all of these different places and doing all these different things. And it's been a very fun journey for me in this past hour to picture all of you doing these things from this place of just pure creative expression and wanting to live more boldly. Are you starting? Let me ask you this. Oh, Trish, a trip to Paris would be a bucket list check. Awesome. Maybe that is my role then, to give you all a reason to come to this gorgeous city, which just means so much to me for so many reasons. I have to say I'm a little biased, I know, but it is one of the most spectacular cities on the planet. And if you want to come to a place that will really just surround you with beauty and inspiration and art and all of that, this is it. And culture, just beautiful culture. This is it. Cheryl, thank you so much, Ryan. It's been a great series. Always inspired with thoughtfulness, generosity, and positivity. Oh, you're very welcome, Dorian. 2020 with Mary, Kathy says. Hey, maybe I'll do one next year and the year after. Maybe it can become an annual Paris kind of retreat thing. Who knows? So Mary, Paris gathering and coaching with online classes. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so, Terry. That sounds like some good bold moves. I'll just have to figure out the logistics. Honestly, the only thing probably that's hanging me up from actually scheduling an event like that is that I don't know when my daughter is going to finish her dissertation. And the way they do graduations where she's in school, they have graduations all the time. So basically, it's not like they have a graduation in the summer and then one in the fall or something. It's literally like every day of the week, they've got graduation ceremonies going on. So she could turn in her paper, her dissertation, defend it, and then have a graduation ceremony the next week, or it could be 2 months later or whatever. So that's kind of my only question mark. So as soon as I kind of get that nailed down, maybe she can give me an idea of what she thinks. Then I might set this up. That would be really cool. Hi, Mary. It's been an inspiring, enjoyable time. Oh, thanks, Mary. I'm so glad you were able to join. Jan, it's exciting. The yes buts are still there, but they're retreating. Oh, you're very welcome, Jan. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. It's a good way to kind of wrap this up, because everybody has those but, blah, blah, blah. That's everyone, including me. Everyone does. I've just learned to ignore them, because that but and whoever comes after it is simply not true. It's always, I think always, pretty much always, trying to indicate some kind of limitation, and it's simply not the case that you have. How could you be limited? You yourself are unlimited. You are limitless. There's nothing around you that's tying you down or holding you back or anything, even when it looks like there is. So I just kind of laugh at those thoughts as they show up and say, yeah, thanks for coming, but I'm going to go for the front part of that sentence. Adriana, oh, thank you for being here. Thanks, Terry. I appreciate all of your comments, everybody. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining. If you oh, you're very welcome, Trevor. If there was something that you wanted to ask on the calls and you didn't feel comfortable posting it, just send me a note, mary@maryschiller.com. If you have a question about this one-to-one coaching that I'm offering, just to 4 people. I only have 4 slots, and I already have some people lined up for conversations about it. So if that's something of interest, jump on and fill out that application, because I don't want you to miss it if it's something that you want. And if you have a question about that, of course, feel free to email me. I will answer the moment I see it. I answer all my emails personally. Will the replays be available somewhere? Yes, actually, Trevor, they're available right here on Crowdcast. So you can watch all the replays on this exact screen. Up in the upper left, you'll see where it says session 1, 2, and 3. And you can just click on those and watch the replays and see all of the comments. And you can also jump to the questions if you want to. Let's see, Allie, it's been great, Mary. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Katie and Allie. Hi, Karina. Oh, I'm glad this has been helpful to you. And at some point, I may also put these videos on YouTube, but they won't have all the comments and things, and it won't be easy to hop over to the questions. So I do recommend viewing them here on Crowdcast just because it's so much simpler that way. So I'm going to wrap this up because I have to jet out of here and go to my French conversation group. It's our first meeting. We don't know who's going to show up, and it'll be interesting to see if I can hold my own. I'm going to bring all this innate boldness with me and speak French, darn it, and we'll just see what happens. So bonne chance. Merci, Trevor. I appreciate it. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and it's been a joy talking with you. And never hesitate again to get in touch with me, Mary@maryschiller.com. I'll talk to you again very soon. Au revoir, à bientôt, and merci beaucoup. Au revoir, bye.